We'll see today Unit 1, that is the Intel Microcontroller 8051, Lecture 2. We'll see in this session architecture of 8051 microcontroller. It consists of 8-bit CPU, 128 byte of RAM, 4 kilobyte of on-chip ROM, 2 timers, 1 serial port, oscillator, bus system, and interrupt sources. You can see the 4 I/O ports. You can see this block diagram, or you can say architecture of 8051. It consists of this interrupt control mechanism having 6 interrupts, 8-bit CPU, oscillator circuit, 4 kilobyte of ROM, 128 byte of RAM, 2 timers, timer 0 and timer 1, bus control, 4 I/O ports. You can see here P0, P1, P2 and P3, and 1 serial port having TXD and RXD. Same diagram with different color. Now let's see each block. So first block is central processing unit, that is CPU. This is the important part of any microcontroller. The CPU is brain of any microcontroller. The 8051 has 8-bit CPU. It monitors and control all the operations that are performed on the microcontroller unit. It reads program written in ROM, executes them, and do the expected task of that application. So this is what the function of CPU. Second block is memory. We know that ROM is memory which is used to store program of microcontroller. Therefore this memory is also called as code memory or program memory. RAM, it is a random access memory. This memory is used to store only data or operands temporarily. Therefore the RAM is also called as data memory. The 8051 has two memories. One is flash ROM and other is RAM. Flash memory is where all program codes are stored and tells the controller what to do. The flash memory has only program code. The RAM has registers that stores result that might be needed later during the execution of the program. The 8051 microcontroller has two memories. One is code memory, or you can say program memory or ROM. It is 4 kilobyte. Another is RAM, also called as data memory. It is 128 byte. Third block is oscillator. The controller require clock pulses for its operation. So for this purpose, the 8051 microcontroller has an on-chip oscillator which works as a clock source for CPU of the microcontroller. This type of crystal is connected across the oscillator externally and used for clock pulses. The fourth part is I/O port. The 8051 microcontroller can be connected to other machines or any device or peripherals, and for this I/O ports are used. The 8051 has total 4 I/O ports. These are P0, P1, P2 and P3. Each port carries 8-bit information at a time. So we can say port 0 is 8-bit, port 1 is 8-bit, port 2 is 8-bit, and port 3 is also 8-bit. These are parallel ports. The fifth block of this architecture is serial port. The 8051 has port for serial communication, that is RX and TX. RX for reception of information, while TX is for transmission of information. Remember, ports P1, ports P0, P1, P2 and P3 are used for parallel communication, while RX and TX are used only for serial communication. Sixth block is timer, or you can say counter. The 8051 microcontroller has two 16-bit timers also used as 16-bit counters, that is timer 0 and timer 1. These timers can be used as timer or counters, as I told. Now, this timer or counter is 16-bit, as I told, but we can split them into 8-bit register. The timers are used for measurement of intervals to determine the pulse width of pulses. Seventh block is system bus. The system bus connects all the support devices to the CPU. All the devices like ROM, RAM, I/O ports, serial port, interrupt control, timer, and CPU. So all are interfaced together through a system bus. This bus consists of data bus, an address bus, and bus control signals. The 8051 has 16-bit address bus and 8-bit address bus. Address bus is 16-bit address bus for transferring. It carries address of device to be selected by CPU. It is also used to select memory locations and to transfer the address from CPU to any location of microcontroller. Data bus is 8-bit, which carries only data, that is, it carries only information. The eighth block of this architecture is interrupt. The 8051 can be configured in such a way that it temporarily terminates or pause the main program after receiving an interrupt. There are 5 interrupts in 8051 microcontroller: INT0, INT1, TF0, TF1, RI, and TI. In short, we can say the 8051 has 8-bit CPU, 4 kilobyte of ROM, 128 byte of RAM, 2 timers, timer 0 and timer 1, bus, 16-bit address bus and 8-bit data bus, 4 ports P0, P1, P2 and P3, 5 interrupts INT0, INT1, TF0, TF1 and RI oblique TY, and last block is serial port, that is RX and TX. The question might be asked in examination: draw the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller and explain its blocks. Okay, for any queries or suggestions, please contact me on the mail given here. Thank you.